Like elimination games. That
I did. It came on.
No, she's sick. She's ill. She's got a cold.
You said something.
She's right here. Right here.
She over there?
Okay, we'll now reconvene a special city council meeting. Ms. City Attorney, will you please report the closed session action?
So for item number 1, the City Council received a status report from its legal counsel. No action was taken. And item number 2, the City Council in closed session discussed whether or not to initiate litigation. Following discussion, the City Council authorized its legal counsel to initiate a civil action on behalf of the City of Downey. The details of the civil action and the defendants and causes of action, once formally filed with the court and commenced, will be disclosed to any person upon inquiry. This motion was made by Councilmember Saab, seconded by Mayor Rodriguez, and voted unanimously with Councilwoman Frometa absent, what I understand is an excused absence. And that ends the closed session report.
This special city council meeting is now adjourned. Call to order. I'd like to call to order a regular city council meeting. City Clerk Huarte, will you please call roll?
Councilmember Ashton?
Present.
Councilmember Frometa is excused. Councilmember Saab?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco?
Present.
And Mayor Rodriguez.
Here. At this time, I'd like to call Downey Police Department Chaplain Greg Walsh to do our invocation. Please rise.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, this is a special, special time for America. This is a weekend that we hold in memory those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for the love of our country. We thank you for them, men and women, that have done that very thing. We thank you for all the patriots in America that stand by each other in this strength of this country. And as we celebrate the birthday of our United States Army, Lord, we ask you to hold them close to you in the field of battle and off. We thank you for them, men and women. And as they go on to continue to support and defend our nation, go before them with your grace and your love and your guidance. And for the city of Downey, we thank you for the guidance that we've been given with all of our leaders, council, as well as volunteers and small business. Everybody in this city is united in working together. And that's a blessing, Lord. That is simply a blessing that comes from you. And lastly, for our first responders, lest we forget our police and fire that have been so bravely there for us for so many years with no opportunity for retreat to defend us and take care of us. Thank you, Lord, and we pray this in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Now I'd like to call up U.S. Army veteran John R. Peters to do our flag salute, Vietnam veteran.
Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for inviting me, City Council. It's an honor and a privilege.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your service. Okay, if we can have a seat. We'll start out with our council members, commissioner announcements, requests for future agenda items, and conference meeting reports. So starting to my left, my big little brother, Councilman Saab.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see service members here in the audience and our future service members. Thank you for serving, and thank you for agreeing to serve. You all make us real proud, especially this weekend. It's Monday that we commemorated Memorial Day. So thank you all for your service. There are a few people in the audience I wanted to just recognize. Representing the Downey Chamber of Commerce, we have Executive Director Michael Calvert. And then we have Board of Director Michael Churko. And then I thought I saw incoming president somewhere, Carrie Yuva. There she is, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you. We have one of our community volunteers here in the police volunteers. Manny Rodriguez also with us, and his wife, Star. A couple things we want to report out. We all had the opportunity to attend the Contract Cities Association Conference in Indian Wells last weekend, and was despite what some of the negativity we heard in the news over some of our neighboring cities that we didn't behave appropriately. Proud to say that our city, the city should be proud of all the council members. We attended all the sessions, and there was a lot of information that was taken. In particular, I wanted to just there was one with the we attended with the supervisors regarding the homeless situation, and as we saw, the homeless situation continues to be a challenge, not just in our local region, but LA County in general, and actually nationwide. There were some suggestions that were made, some issues that were identified, but I think all in all, the city of Downey continues to. We have been on top of it for the last few years with the some of the funds that we put forward, and I think it's been quite obvious. We haven't seen the increase other cities have had. Not to say that we can't do more, and we will be doing more, but that was a discussion. So I want to report out on that. Couple events. This is graduation week. Big events in the city of Downey. You have Warren High School, Columbus High School graduation Wednesday, and you have Sussman on Thursday, and Warren High Thursday as well, and then Downey on Friday. So congratulations to all those that are graduating and moving on to whatever next step you've chosen, whether it's college or work or whatever it may be. We're all very proud of you. And I want to remind everyone that the Downey Greek Festival is this weekend. It's a big tradition in our big event, and lots of fun and tradition in our city to attend that. And that's this weekend, June 1st and 2nd, Saturday and Sunday, at the Greek Church over on Downey Avenue. A couple things for staff. I've written them down. There's some at Discovery Park. There's the speed bumps, and the speed bumps. First of all, parking's limited at that park as it is, and the speed bumps extend all the way to the center median, and it takes away what would otherwise be a parking spot. It seems like. I mean, maybe there's an engineering reason for it, but the speed bump seems like it should have been just down the aisle where you can drive through, and not all the way through all the way to the center medium. I know it's kind of difficult, but if you saw it, I have a picture I'll show you guys. It seems like it's just being a layman here, if part of that could be removed, you still have the speed bump where it would control people from not speeding, in the driveway there, but allow for, there was about 8 more additional spots, if it could be removed, that could be added to that park, because parking does continue to be a premium there.
We'll take a look at it.
If we can just take a look at it, maybe there's an engineering reason for it, or maybe not, but that would be great. Another thing is, if we can, I guess the street signs that we had recommended a few months back to be sold, apparently they've been a big hit, at least on social media, and I think today or tomorrow was maybe the final day people can purchase it. If we can just extend that maybe just another week or so, and just put something out so that people can have that last opportunity to purchase. I know sometimes people may be busy, or they may just procrastinate, but I got 2 messages today asking how can they get it. It's ending, I don't know, today or tomorrow, whatever it may be. If we could just maybe extend it, obviously if it's going to go to recycled or thrown away, we want to at least give people an opportunity to purchase it.
Yeah, it's not a problem. We'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you. And that concludes my comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward with Councilman Sean Ashton, that guy right there.
All right, good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to make a big congratulations to the graduating class of 2019. I know, I remember those days long ago, but we all wish you luck. We're very proud of you, and we wish nothing but the best for you guys, and good luck in all your future endeavors. Back to business. We all attended the Contract Cities conference a couple weeks back, and the one session that I went to was wasn't with. I went to the one with the supervisors, but it was another one that focused on homelessness, where one of our colleagues from the city of Bellflower, Mayor Pro Tem Juan Garza, kind of talked a little bit about his view of homelessness, and it kind of hit home with me. So when we think about homelessness as a problem, it in a sense, it's really not the problem. It's the result of many different problems. So when you look at, why are people homeless? Well, there are, obviously, economic issues for some people. For some people, it's drug abuse. For other people, it's mental illness, domestic abuse. There are a lot of other problems that are creating this huge issue that we're having now with homelessness. And I think, the way that we've, the county and the state have been kind of looking at it is kind of just, let's just get whatever money we can get, throw it at it, and hope that something sticks. And I think we just need to, look at, our efforts to knock out some of those other problems. What can we do to make domestic abuse not get so far to where it's causing homelessness? What can we do to make housing more affordable? What can we do to provide treatment for those that are on drugs? So, maybe if, that was kind of my big takeaway from that. And I think that it was just a different way of kind of looking at this huge issue. It's not, it is a huge issue, but it's the result of many smaller issues that kind of compounded this. And so that was kind of my one big takeaway with all of that. And hopefully when we start looking at these problems as specific issues, we can do a better job of finding a solution to these specific problems that'll help with the homeless issue as a whole. With some of the events that were coming up, we mentioned the Greek Fair. Looking forward to getting some lamb on a spit. That'll be really good. Greek Festival, what else do we have? We have a couple of groundbreakings coming up. So this Thursday, we have a groundbreaking here at the City Library for the modernization for the City Library. That'll be at 4 p.m. Next week at Fire Station number 1 that'll be Monday the 3rd at Fire Station 1 at 3 o'clock, and then Fire Station number 3 at 4 o'clock. So those are the two fire stations on Paramount. So Paramount Fire Station 1 is the one in the southern part of Paramount, and Fire Station 3 is the northern part of Paramount. So we have those events coming up, and then one issue for staff. And I don't think this is our right of way, but I'm not sure exactly. But on Imperial Highway, right around where you go under the bridge for Erickson at Los Amigos, there are a couple of trees that are there that are pretty dead. And I'm afraid of having something happen where it falls on a moving car or something. So if we can have, if it's our right of way on that hillside going under the bridge there, if we can take care of that, or if we can reach out to county staff to have them take care of those trees, because it's going to be a safety hazard pretty soon, so we can get that taken care of. And with that, that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanca Pacheco, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to welcome everyone to our council meeting. It's always a pleasure seeing everyone here. I want to start off with mentioning some events that I attended. I also had the pleasure of attending Contract Cities over in Indian Wells over the May 17th weekend. And one of the sessions that I found informative was an active shooter workshop. It was a hands-on workshop. So we were provided details as to what to do in case of an active shooter situation. We also learned how to apply a tourniquet in case somebody is injured. So I would like to see if maybe we could look into helping us as council members better prepare ourselves in case we do encounter an active shooter situation. And so that way we can be better prepared. Also, as mentioned, we do have a couple of groundbreaking events. We had two previously on May 15th, and they were at two parks. As a reminder, Measure S was passed by the voters. It was a half-cent sales tax increase. It's being utilized to do a lot of improvements here in our city, park improvements, remodeling for our fire stations, libraries, street improvements. A lot is being done in our city, and you're going to hear many more groundbreaking events, and there's going to be a lot of dust flying in our city. So I do hope that everybody is patient, because what we're doing here is we're improving our city for our future, like our parks, so that our children have better parks. So again, I ask everyone to be patient during this time of us going through this process of remodeling throughout the city. Also, yesterday was Memorial Day, so it was a special day to recognize our military personnel who have passed away and who have fought for the freedoms that we enjoy today. Mayor Rick Rodriguez and I, we had a busy day. We started off yesterday at 7:30 a.m. with a walk here from here at City Hall to the Downey Cemetery. And then we continued with the next event, which was the Downey Cemetery Memorial Day event. And then we also ended up over at another Memorial Day event located near Bastards, where I know Mayor Rick Rodriguez will mention a little more about that event. I did want to mention one event. There's a summer reading program kickoff on Monday, June 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this will be at our Columbia Memorial Space Center. So this is another great opportunity to come to the Space Center and see what else they have to offer for our young ones. So thank you, and that concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Blanca. And now it's my turn to report out, and I also attended the Contract Cities event and festivities last week, and I guess my favorite part of the event was that our Supervisor Janice Hahn kind of thanked Downey publicly for what we're trying to do with our homeless veterans. And so I'm very excited about that project, and I'm looking forward to our future with her. Moving on, I'd like to recognize a few people in the audience myself. I would be completely remiss and in a lot of trouble if I didn't recognize the #1 Army wife in the world, my daughter-in-law, Marissa Rodriguez, to my left, and her 2 children, Richard and Luis. And speaking of Army, we have a whole bunch of young people that you see in the front row. Those are called our future soldiers, and those people will be sworn in tonight, and they'll be taking that commitment to serve our country for your freedoms. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here to do that. And then Dorothy Pemberton, where's Dorothy at? Raise your hand, Dorothy. Dorothy is my Parks and Rec Commissioner, but she's also really the right hand of District 3. She's really got her eyes and ears everywhere for us. Thank you, Dorothy, for being here and being part of today's event. Thank you, Dorothy. And the person that does the most work out of all the City Council and gets absolutely no recognition is everyone at this table. She's our best friend because she does the most work. Monica Delgadillo, our Council Secretary. Thank you, Monica. Thank you for being here. You make us look good, Monica, that's for sure. Thank you. Yesterday, Memorial Day event. Yesterday, as Blanca mentioned, we did a 3-mile road march, and we carried backpacks, just like the soldiers and the veterans, and we did it in record time, 45 minutes. 40 people walked from here to there. So it was a great event. Next year, we're planning to have more veterans, more families, more dogs, more people interested in coming out to show support on Memorial Day. I also last week attended the AVID banquet for AVID students. In the past, AVID was just a few kids here and there that would graduate and go to college. Now they're so successful, the room was filled with over 300 people in the room. And they all have stories. They all have wonderful stories about their success in high school. We had our most recent Coyotes at a Downey meeting last week. We passed out new equipment. We did hazing training. We alerted our team members to go out there and start speaking with our block captains. So our next step is to go out there and advise our block captains and continue the fight to keeping coyotes out of our city. We also had our 1-year anniversary with the Downey Care Collaborative at the Ganya restaurant. We had a successful 1 year. We have 180 foster children in our city, and we want to keep them here and keep them involved in our city. And we want to be that city that sets the template and becomes a template as a model city for other adoptive and foster children. So this year we had a outreach. We had over 500 people come to Downey and listen and hear, and then 124 people applied to become a foster or adoptive parent that day for our Downey kids. So that's a huge success for us. So I'm very proud of that. So we had our 1-year anniversary. So now the next city is Lakewood. Lakewood is now will be emulating our efforts and going after the same. They won't call it Downey Care Collaborative. They'll call it Lakewood Care Collaborative. Siaka, we are saying farewell to our executive director, Sally Hazard. She's retiring, and so we said goodbye to her. And I also attended the coffee with a cop. And Chief, I have to tell you, what a great event. The residents come out to Starbucks. They come out, they talk to police, and they engage. And my favorite moment is when little children walk up to a police officer with an autograph book, and they want the police officer to give them the autograph. It's great. It's great to have our police engage with our community. That's a huge plus for us. And then I did a small interview on a radio channel, KCRW, All Things Considered, in regards to our certain ideas of keeping marijuana out of our city. And so that was quite a event, to say the least. That's it for me for reporting out. Time for presentations. So the first award this evening for the Downey's Finest Award goes to Kevin Ellis. Kevin, can I have him front and center, please? Commissioner Dorothy Pepperly, will you come up here and give me a hand? Go, brother. Give me a hand. Dorothy, up to you. All on you.
All on me. So when the mayor wanted people in the community that work for the city that they feel that are really worthy of this award, there are so many, but what came to mind first was Kevin Ellis. I met Kevin about 15, 20 years ago through Downey Ponytail Girls Softball League over at Independence Park. And we were always calling Kevin. Back in the day, he would chalk the fields for us. We had a schedule change. It was rainy. We can't play. We have mud. We got locked out with the key. The lights are not on. It didn't matter what time. Some of us had Kevin's cell phone number, and he'd come, and he was always there, above and beyond. And recently, even in our PTA first colorathon at the Downey Adult School, he helped. He gave us the stuff to help chalk the fields. What do you need? He's always around. He tries to promote all his programs through PTA coming to our meetings. So I feel that Kellen Ellis is one of those employees that's above and beyond. And so I asked the department to give me a little bit write-up on him, and I have a real nice, cute little story here. Kevin is a true recreation professional at heart. He is always willing to help when needed. Within the Parks and Recreation Department, Kevin is known as the Ghostbuster of the team. Who you gonna call? Kevin is always there to troubleshoot, solve conflicts, but above all, he is an advocate for the community. Kevin's mentoring philosophy with our rec staff has made him much more valuable to the team. As you look around not only our department, but in the recreation profession, you see many young people professionally groomed and sent out to the world under the care of Kevin Ellis. This is a true reflection of his impact he has made upon the profession over the last 20 years he has been serving in our community. He has been an active member of the Southern California Municipal Athletic Foundation for over 10 years. Kevin has been at the Apollo Park Gymnasium since its doors opened in 1998. He helped build Downey's youth and adult sports program into what it is today, with thousands of kids and adults alike having opportunities to lead healthy and active lifestyles. Throughout the years, Kevin has established a great rapport with our Downey youth sports organizations in partnering to ensure our community and has quality athletic experiences. Now, Kevin has been married to his wonderful wife, Ronnie, for Oh, I got the answer. It's 29 years. 29. And they are truly grateful because she has supported the late calls and weekend calls through his rec career with the city of Downey. And he has great pride with his 2 children, Kevin and Kaylin, and has followed their journeys in sports. So he is someone that has been exemplary throughout the years. And so instead of giving flowers for Kevin, I thought, oh, and here's our Downey Ponytail group here to support you as well. Here's our president, Gilbert. So you are just well loved. So with your job, life is like a box of chocolates. You're never going to know what you're going to get. So.
That's the fun stuff. This is the official stuff here. Kevin Ellis. Kevin Ellis, Downey's Finest Award here is hereby presented to Kevin Ellis on behalf of the citizens of Downey as an unsung hero for your extraordinary everyday efforts to do the right thing and for your commitment to excellence in your hard work, all while being humble in your actions. Makes you Downey's finest. Thank you for furthering our common goal of making our city a better place for all, given the 28th day of May by Rick Rodriguez, the mayor. That's me. So, this is a challenge point. This is my mayor's point. And this is a city pin. Only the cool kids get these pins. Exactly. All right. So we know. There you go. There you go, sir. That's all yours. All right, let me see a few words. You go. Go ahead.
Just thank you, and I have a great crew that I work for. That's really it. Thanks a lot.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Without a picture, we'll take that thing back.
So now I'd like to call up Josefina Hernandez, the Older American of the Year. Monica Ortiz, could you please help me?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So we'd like to give some recognition to one of our amazing volunteers over at our community center. Each year, the LA County Commission of Older Adults tasks us to think of people who are exemplary in our city, in our community, at our community center. So this year, we would like to recognize Josefina Hernandez. She is a dedicated volunteer who has been volunteering with the City of Downey's HSA program for the past 3 years at the Barbara Riley Community and Senior Center. She has many great qualities, such as being caring, reliable, and a hard worker. She gets along well with all the seniors and is always willing to go above and beyond when someone is in need of her assistance. Josie has lived in the city of Huntington Park since 1981. She has 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. She's a pleasure to work with and truly cares about giving back. Tonight, we want to say thank you for your continued dedication and contributions to the City of Downey's community. Congratulations.
Don't go away. Don't go away. You got a bunch of stuff here. Yeah. Older American, don't wait to hear, Monica's here. Older American of the Year, 2019, City of Downey Community Service Department salutes Josefina Hernandez as the 2019 Older American of the Year, and for your contribution and time and talent to our community in May 2019. Okay. Hold on, we got more. There's more behind door number 3. All right, here we go. So this is the challenge coin for the mayor. It's the mayor's challenge. In here, Monica, going to pin this on her. And while she's doing that, I will read this here. This is a proclamation, Josefina, the Older Americans Month, May 2019, whereas the City of Downey is committed to helping all individuals maintain their health and independence later in life. And whereas the older adults in the City of Downey have had an important role for sharing knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the history of our community through interactions with children, youth, and adults from other generations. And whereas the fruits of knowledge and experience can be effectively transferred from generation to generation through meaningful social interactions. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich citizens, young and old, by emphasizing the value of including elders in public and family life, creating opportunities for older Americans to interact with people of different generations, providing services and support systems that allow our older adults to participate in social activities in the communities. And now, therefore, I, Rick Rodriguez, being the mayor of the City of Downey, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2019 to be Older Americans Month. I urge every citizen to take the time this month to engage with our older citizens and through an enjoyable social interaction such as sports, games, dance, contests, and other forms of play. Signed by me, the mayor. Yes, absolutely. This is also this one. Okay. Right up front. So this, yeah, you guys want to join us? I'm an older American too, so come on. Almost we gave the certificate to her. Yeah, I almost kept it. It's older American. Hey, that's me. So now I'd like to call our Fire Chief, Chief Gillespie, to come up and help me with our Search Spring 2019 graduates. Yeah, okay.
First of all, before I begin, I wanted to congratulate Josephina on her recognition tonight, and also Kevin Ellis. I know him personally, and he's well deserving of that and represents the city very well. So thank you, Kevin. Mayor Rodriguez, Pro Tem Pacheco, City Council members, City Manager Levis, and our distinguished residents tonight. I'm honored to speak before you tonight and recognize the graduates of the May 2019 CERT Academy. The fire department oversees the city's emergency management responsibilities, and we thank the council for their support of the program. The city has had an emergency manager, a full-time emergency manager, for approximately the last 5 years, and she's done an incredible job getting the city prepared for disasters, and does a lot of important work. In Downey, we're blessed really with the citizen involvement. So I thank every one of you. It's I think an active city is a strong city. So the city's very blessed, and the fire department's been very blessed over the years to have that support as well. The CERT program itself is really an attempt to really reach out and teach our citizens self-sufficiency in a disaster. So we encourage all of our residents to take the CERT class, and I know we're going to bring up someone and we'll explain a little bit more about the CERT program here shortly. This time I would like to call up one of our CERT executive board members, Roy Beard. Roy, if you would come up, please. Roy Beard is also one of our alumni of Downey's Finest recipient most recently, so thank you, Roy. And Roy's going to be here to introduce the May 2019 CERT Academy graduate and the attendees that are here tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The City of Downey is very lucky. We have our emergency manager, our city council, our city manager, and our fire department that supports the CERT program. And the CERT program is free in the City of Downey, and it teaches the individuals how to take care of themselves and their family and their neighbors in an emergency safely without becoming a victim. So we're recognizing our May 2019 CERT graduates who had completed the 20 hours of mandatory training. And just real quickly, in 1987, after the Whittier Narrows earthquake, the Los Angeles Fire Department recognized that the citizens needed to be prepared in a disaster so they can take care of themselves. And so they developed an emergency unit and did some training. And then FEMA in 1993 adopted the program, working with the Los Angeles Fire Department, and they offer it nationwide. That's why there's the mandated 20 hours of training. It's the real deal. These graduates have learned how to and practice how to suppress small fires, disaster medical, and light search and rescue. And if I would like to call up in the city of Downey, we have our emergency manager, as Chief had mentioned, who works with us as the community volunteers. And could I have my CERT executive team come up? We have individuals like myself. We work with our emergency manager, and we have 2 classes, plus we're having a Spanish class now in Downey with the support of our, as I said, our city manager, our council, and our fire department. And the training is the real deal. It really is very important to the citizens. And as individuals, we have to go through special training just to teach the class. It's a train-the-trainer course. And once you have completed it, truly, you will be able to take care of yourself safely without becoming victims of in an emergency. And at this time, I would like to have our member VJ, who just came all the way from LA to get down here for this presentation, and he's going to call up the candidates.
So we have nicknames, but we won't call the nicknames out for the class members. I'll call you by your real name. So I apologize if I butcher your name in advance as well. Can we call Ricky Valencia up, please? If he's here. Sandra Valencia.
Nope.
Carrie Uve is here. Woo! Sandra? Sandra's here. There you go. Thank you.
She made it. Oh, sorry.
Who's that? Thank you. Alyssa Martinez. Woo!
Elizabeth, over here.
Annette Hamilton. Woo! There you go. David Hamilton. Related, I assume, no? Rocio Gomez. Woo! Thank you. Manuel Rodriguez. Yeah. Laura Vega. Woo! And she came all the way from Pasadena for our class, actually. That's right. That's right. Jennifer Yost. Yep. Christina Rivera. Maria Serrano. Yeah. Edward Rodriguez. Yeah. All right, awesome. Go.
Well, this is our graduating class, and we are going to have, if you are interested, check out the City of Downey website. We have, as I said, 2 CERT classes and 1 Spanish class in Downey now. And the fall class is going to be September 7th, 14th, and the 21st. And if you go to the city emergency, go to the city website and fire department emergency preparedness, you'll see the CERT sign in. I would give you the login, but it's way too long. Okay, thank you very much. Picture? Yeah, let's go outside. We'll take a picture outside.
Student of the class now.
You can still shift to your right. Just because it's California, it's okay to shift to your right just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we have cake still. Don't leave, please. Okay, this is where this is part of the favorite part of the evening for me. So I met this young man probably a year or so ago. I met him as he became the company commander for the LA Battalion for our Long Beach recruitment office. And so, you know, people ask me all the time, I'm Army dad. So I have two boys that are combat veterans, and my two sons serve honorably in multiple deployments and campaigns. So when they came home, we created a foundation to help veterans go to work, get trained, housing, all that stuff. So I ran for office. It was kind of a natural fit that the military veteran idea and concept was heavy on my heart to serve the veteran community. And so 10 years ago, I was positioned on a board for LA Battalion as part of the recruitment advisors. And so I became close to these guys. I've seen these kids. And so the front row, that's your future soldiers. They'll get sworn in a minute. But tonight we're saying goodbye to a company commander that's become a good friend of mine. And so I told him he can't go away without allowing me to show my city my friendship with Captain Downey Conway. So Danny, come up here, please. So a little about Captain Conway. He's going off to Korea in a little bit, and he's going to do his next tour of duty there. And so in my family, you know, when they serve, I always pray for my kids. Here's your John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. So with this job, they don't pay us very much. They give us a lot of cool pins. So if you allow me to do this, you don't have to wear it forever like this for tonight. I promise I won't Navy seal it into your chest.
It's not a real pocket.
It's not a real pocket now, I see that. Okay, all right. So, Captain Daniel Conway, on behalf of the citizens of Downey, in recognition of your tireless efforts to the United States Army, your dedication to our community is commendable and honorable in the fight for our freedoms throughout the world. We pay special tribute for our military service in the United States of America, given this day by me, the Mayor of the City of Downey, and my colleagues. Thank you so much, Danny. So we're Army family, so let's Mrs. Conway come up here.
She's the important one.
Yeah. As that lady will tell you, through 3 deployments and 15 years, she'll tell you you're the most important part of the family. So, okay, so this is part of it now. Danny, you want to say a few words before we?
Sure. So, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, other members of the City Council, I truly appreciate the opportunity to receive this award and then be recognized for my soldier's service to your community. I've been blessed with
having the opportunity to to put the youth of America into the Army and defend the country that I love and I know they love as well. But I couldn't do anything without the support of my soldiers, but more importantly, my wife. So her and my baby boy, I love you so much, and thank you for everything, babe.
So this is Military Appreciation Month. We cut a cake, and part of the cake ceremony, we take the oldest soldier that we can find and the new young people like you guys. And so 244 years ago, our nation's leaders established the Continental Army. And today, the Army is a strategic land power and joint forces called upon to shape and to win against adversaries and terrorists around the world. Today is the day we celebrate the total Army force comprised of a multi-component soldiers department of the Army, civilians, and their contributions to national defense. The American soldier trains, deploys, engages, and destroys enemies of the United States of America in combat and operations as a world premier land force. Today, as in years past, Army soldiers serve as a cornerstone of the Army profession, continue to add their legacy of 244 years strong. So we will cut this cake, but before we cut this cake, I want you to meet our new company commander that will be putting our young kids in the military, Captain Johnson. Please stand. So he's a new guy to California, so I'm trying to get him to come to move into Downey. So if you're real estate guys, make sure you catch with Captain Johnson. So at this point, let's put these guys in the Army.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay? Who's in charge of that? Who's doing it?
So First Class Patterson.
All right, Pat, let's go.
Yeah, you can hang out here. All right, so real quick, I'll introduce to y'all what we're about to do. So every member of the military has to swear allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America. Not a president, not a king, nothing like that. And so it's what distinguishes us as our peculiar type of democracy that we have, and it's special to us in the military because we are defending our Constitution and the rights that we all hold. So with that, group attention, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Congratulations, guys.
All right. So one more thing before we cut the cake. Being the mayor and Army dad, sometimes I get a little extra privilege, the other guys. So today, it's not only the Army's birthday, but it's my oldest grandson's birthday. Zeke, we come up here? My grandson's 17 years old today. Much like his dad, his career will be in the Army. So he is at Southeast Military Academy now. He's hoping next year, as a senior year, to get into West Point upon graduation. That's what our prayer is. But until then, he'll be as a soldier at Southeast Military Academy. I just want to show my grandson off to you guys and wish him happy birthday in public. All right, Dan, let's cut that cake. We need an old soldier, if you wouldn't mind, please. I had to call you that, John, but you really are an old soldier. There you go. You're the future soldier.
Usually this is done with the Marine Corps is what the only ones to do this. Many of their parties. I think some of them are still going
that sword. Cut it.
There you go. Get out of there. There you go. John, you got a little experience doing this stuff, huh?
Everybody loves cake,
That's right. We got some chicken teriyaki in the back. We'd bring it out if you want to cut it up real quick. So, ladies and gentlemen, after he gets done cutting the cake, we'll take a quick recess outside so we can enjoy some cake and have a few minutes of fellowship and talk a little bit. Yeah. We want you to
Slide.
Tom, he knows the way around the lake, bro. Look at that.
Do we have any Marines here?
Any Marines in the audience?
Thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Double piece, all right. How do you want to take this cake out? All right. I go to the top.
How do we get it back out there?
Yes. So let's take a quick recess and see you outside. Yes, yes, please. Good? Oh, there you go.
I think we're starting the clock early, or is that?
There you go. So now is the time for non-agenda public comment. Before we begin non-agenda public comment period, I'd like to remind the members of the audience of the city meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code. Members of the audience who wish to address the city council during non-agenda public comment are prohibited from engaging in any conduct that disrupts, interferes with the meeting, such as yelling, screaming, cheering, or whistling. If a speaker engages in the conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, I will ask the city manager to have that speaker removed from the chambers until the end of non-agenda public comment period. I remind each person has 5 minutes to speak on non-agenda public items, and that your comments be addressed to me and not to any other council member or staff member. I will also remind everyone in the audience that there has been time where profanity has been spoken, so please, if that is offensive, we apologize in advance. Please state your name for the record. Those wishing to speak, now come forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
That is really fucked up.
Thank you.
Talk about free speech at council meetings, and the comment that a civilized society is to protect and preserve the freedom to speak up. Free speech is often uncomfortable, but that is the alternative. There you go, Patriot Paper, Inside Edition, right? Opinion. However, Mr. Mayor, I like to read into the record, Garth Wright versus the City of Portland, Oregon, 439 F3D 573 578, 9th Circuit, 2006. The city that silences a critic will injure itself as much as it injures the critic. For the gadfly's task is to steer to life the massive beast of the city, to rouse each and every one of you to persuade the reproach you all day long, Plato. Fifth Dialogue, Hackett, 2nd edition, Trans, GMA, Grub, 35, Apology, none whatsoever. Because I'm referring to the inactive license status of Jose Luis Huizar, 195,726 for the record. That is fucked up. Inactive since 10/25/06/128/19. Jose Huizar, who brought the FBI to the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, who in part participates with gateway cities like that of Mr. Aldo there, who participated in Cerritos' meeting 2 weeks ago and canceled the meeting. He only had 8 Pandera meals only for his special group as opposed to the 12 people on that committee. What the fuck is going on, Aldo, in that city of Cerritos?
To me, sir.
I am discouraged, as Matt Dow would say. That is fucked up. CV 09-06731 for the record. Your Honorable Mr. Rodriguez. Let us pray to the 9th Circuit, 439 F3D 573 578 2006. Garth Wright versus the city of Portland, Oregon. Why do I have to use this offensive speech that you call offensive? It's because I'm steering the public. You don't have to be a paid speaker. You don't have to be a lobbyist like Aldo, who sits in this committee, who sits in the Gateway City committees, and is bringing this intrusive gentrification to our community. He's going to outsource us. He's going to build in our community. We're no longer going to have a safe city because we have to fund it to protect ourselves against the lobbyists like Aldo, who sits to my right or stands to my right, because the American people do not know their rights. And that's why all day in the courts, I had to pull this shit together to defend my rights of free speech, because I'm being retaliated, harassed by that big jackass, moron, asshole Eric Garcetti and Mike Fuhr's office, who have challenged my First Amendment by retaliation simply because I use an attorney's name, address, place of location, because the gentleman put on a flyer what he does in his community. But when he comes to my work and he fucks with my livelihood and my work in the city of Los Angeles, it becomes a fucking issue. a real fucking issue. And people should know better. You gotta stop this. You gotta stop using threat management. You gotta stop using temporary restraining orders and restricting and censoring people to participate in public meetings. And that's what's gonna happen at the Los Angeles Superior Court, 111 North Hill Street, room 426 of Los Angeles, California, 90012, and the Honorable Gesture Hall of Patricia H. Cops. And what is she going to do? She's going to defend Mike Fuhr's client who says he feels threatened while the asshole squashes his bottle behind me, because that's offensive. That is fucked up. And I like it when people are fucked up and participate with me and make noises, because it shows you how fucking ignorant society is getting over this documentation of the courthouse. And then let me read you into verse 39 of this publication, because it actually adds more to the flames and fire of fuck the Catholic Church, as I would say. Oh, the court disagrees, calling Council President pathetic and hopeless and saying that she is not doing a very good job.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
you need
Herman,
to
for
get
your
together
comments.
and
Your
lose
time is
her.
up.
Is a political speech at the heart of First Amendment, page 39, while the frustration of council members
Mr. Herman.
is understandable.
Mr.
so is
Herman.
the frustration of Downey versus the city of Los Angeles.
Mr. Herman,
That is fucking
your time is up.
Oh, I didn't see that. So
Okay, no, his time is up now. Thank you for your comment. God bless you. Have a seat. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I left you an article on.
Thank you. I'll read it later. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Council members, my name is Anthony Jones. I live here in the city of Downey. The only reason I came to this meeting is, yes, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Individuals that like to come up here and blow a lot of hot air. I took notes. Garth Wright versus Portland, Oregon, inactive Jose Luis. Jose Weber, LA City, Cerritos 9th Court, Eric Garcetti, LA Supreme Court, Honorable Gesture Hall, and the Catholic Church. That's the only thing I could get off all that rambling. I don't understand any of it.
We're the same way. We don't either.
I think comments should be limited to what pertains to the city of Downey,
Sure.
not LA City, not all this other stuff that someone's rambling on about. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Move to close public comment.
Consent calendar. Are there any council members who would like to remove or abstain for any item? I need to abstain from item number 3. Private owner property within 500 feet of this issue.
I'd like to remove item number 14.
Move to approve the balance
Second.
after public comment.
You know, before we do that, I guess I'd like to pull in item 16 and have a discussion about that a little bit. Now we get a motion to approve the balance?
So moved.
Second.
Public comment?
Yep. So now it's time for public comment on these items. The remaining items. Anybody like to step up for public comment? Of course.
You gotta face it.
Thank you, Michael.
You gotta face the mayor.
You got to face me, Mr. Herman.
Thank you. I'm facing the
That's-
mayor.
No, you got to face me.
I'm facing the mayor.
You're
I see
facing
you-
me.
I see you right there, Mr.
Well, I don't
Mayor.
see you. I got to see your.
I see you all
Mr.
the
Herman,
time.
you are now warned that you must keep the decorum. That means leaving the podium where it is and facing the mayor and
I'm
council.
facing the mayor.
Thank
I can
you.
face the mayor anywhere I look in this room. The mayor's still here.
Mr. Herman, you've been warned.
Madam Attorney, receive and file. Madam Attorney, now you're on attack. Is it because I talk about Measure S? Is it because I'm talking about a project that's going to cost the taxpayers $20,000 upon completion? Miss Attorney Garcia, are you trying to hinder me from reporting to the public how you spend $20,000 on a mosaic art project while the police drives in a beat-up old rundown police car? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you going to spend $10,640 that shall not exceed the sum of, but yet we're going to pay $20,000 fucking dollars for a piece of art? Not even Rembrandt donated his art for that kind of money. However, fuck it. And then, as you know, since we're going to delegate $7 million, $769,000, $664, am I on topic? Am I on decorum, Mr. Mayor?
I think so. So far, so good.
Goddamn right I am, because I went to church.
Thank you.
And I prayed.
Thank you.
I prayed that God bring hell and fire to Sodom and Gomorrah. And we all become pillars of salt for turning back our backs against the real, true God, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
However, that's not what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about the so-called approval under item, is it 5? Is it 5? The replacement of a chiller condenser coils that are going to cost us, what, $2 million? No, it's going to cost us from March 16th, though it went through April the 3rd, and it was worked on till April 30th, and you forgot that capital improvements inspection final wasn't in regard, so now you're going to dish out a separate check to the public work director to satisfy the completion of this capital improvement. I find that offensive when you can't calculate your goddamn fucking expenses and you gut out the city money to finish projects like the promenade that's not finished, Mr. Levi. Sorry, Mr. Rodriguez. You guys look alike.
That's right. We hear that all the
Lauren
time.
Hardy look alike.
That's right. It's hard to tell the difference.
But like Jose Huizar, Luis Huizar, you might be in the same activity of criminalizing yourself, but the FBI, as they investigate whether or not this contingency money is approved by the federal and state government to use on a completion of capital improvements. Project number 19/16, right, Aldo? I don't remember. So, again, all these goddamn issues is fucked up because the public doesn't address them. They're so afraid of you. They're so afraid of you. Even Saab is laughing at you, Mr. Mayor.
I don't think he's laughing at He's
They're
probably laughing at something else.
you. They're laughing for me
Something
at
tells
you.
me he's laughing at something else.
Because of Measure EE, Measure S to approve that $75,000 for infrastructure to improvement of programs regarding the so-called, what, consulting incorporation? Why do we need a consulting corporation? Why?
To consult.
The same reason you couldn't figure out the ADA compliance demand by the Federal Highway Administration when you had to receive my letter and file of complaint and had to address $22 million to fix the path of travel and public use of a sidewalk. Isn't that right, Ms. Garcia?
I'm right here,
And
Herman.
by the way, Mr. Mayor, when you put people's names in the paper and you give them $5,000, state the real reason why you gave me $5,000, Rodriguez. You sat there and you gave it to me like a dumbass. You, not me, asked for it. You paid me to save Mr. Vasquez from going to the federal court and demanding why he was objecting to constitutional protection of First Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you. God bless you. Next, anybody else? Please approach the mic.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, sir.
I'm a firm believer in freedom of speech, but it's unfortunate that we have certain people that choose to use improper language, and that forces me to not bring my 3.5-year-old daughter here or my wife here or other people. And everybody has a right, freedom of speech. I'm all for it. But something needs to be done about the way how people choose their language, because it's ridiculous. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? No further speakers? No, no further speakers. Public comment is not closed. Can we get a motion and a second? Do you got it? Oh, one more. He's moving slow. Okay. Public comment is now reopened.
My name is Lawrence Kristen. I live on 6th Street. And I just have a quick question about protocol.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment about item 10, but do I have to wait for you to bring that up before I can comment?
Do it now.
This is the public art?
Yes, sir.
I have to wait?
No, you do it now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know what the agenda was tonight, hadn't planned to speak on this, but I'm a little concerned about public art going up without public input. Alas, the city of Downey has a pretty bad record when it comes to supporting the arts. There were complicated reasons for the collapse of the DCLO. There was no reason for the Downey Art Museum, which was the first art museum in the history of Los Angeles County, to be virtually destroyed. There will be no Downey Art Museum in the immediate future. We do have artists, we do have people struggling, like the Downey Arts Coalition and the new managing of the Space Gallery. My question is this: who is the VOST program? I mean, Lindsay VOST and Preferred Impressions. Why are they given the responsibility, or the gift actually, of public art? Who will decide what the public art is? Who will make the public art? Is this art by committee? Is this something that everybody here is going to agree with? Will the public have any kind of input? Will the Downey art community have any input? What I'm suggesting is that we open this for a question for further debate by a broader segment of the public, rather than just rubber stamp a company that I never heard of. Doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of things I haven't heard of, but I do feel that this is an issue that bears greater scrutiny, particularly considering the sketchy and dubious relationship that the city council, the city of Downey, has had with its artists. And while on that subject, I think we are in critical need of appointing some kind of arts commission, which could offer some advisory guidelines and leadership and input for the city. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to have our city manager address your comments, sir.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. Larry and I have had many discussions about public art and sort of direction and where things have gone in the city. And there's been a couple of things you've brought up, the Civic Light Opera, and there's a reasoning for that. The Civic Light Opera actually chose to close, and the city didn't close them down. The Downey Museum also was another one that had some legal issues, not because of the city closing them down. So in both of those instances, but you know that we've talked about that. As far as the art that is concerned on the agenda item, those are local artists in town. And those are people, and we wanted to make sure there is a subcommittee that meets on that. And one of their goals is to make sure that we farm some art out to local artists, because there is local talent. We wanted to make sure that those artists had a shot, and in order to do something here. So we wanted to make sure that those people had the opportunity to do something, develop something that is locally homegrown. It's one of the motivating factors behind Stay Gallery, for example. Stay, meaning, we want artists to stay in a local community. So those particular art pieces will be our homegrown. So that is something that we will continue to do and look forward to. Actually, we also have a program through our theater through our Downey Theater that gives grants to local artists for performing arts as well, and it's something that we actually are developing. We're actually spending quite a bit of money at our theater to redo the theater. It's needed a lot of help. A new air conditioning system, a couple $1 million worth. We're going to be redoing the plaza area, adding an elevator because we want to be able to go ahead and program the second story of the theater as well. Our goal is that we would be able to have some community input in that, and so that we can have some black box theater, for example, on the second story. So there's a lot of things going on. We have an RFP out right now to try to hopefully engage some local art, performance art. So there are many things going on, and we're certainly trying to do that, and we'll continue to try to do that, and that's something that we're doing. So.
I would like to say one thing, that I'm aware that...
Sir, you've already had your time to speak.
I thought I had a couple of minutes more.
You walked away from the mic.
Yeah, it's just 30 seconds, really.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm aware that the issue of the DCLO is a complex one.
Right.
And that the general director made it very difficult for the city. Right. But the point is that I'm looking at the result and the outcome. And we don't have a resident theater group, and there's a lot of things. But
sure.
But I do take your point about what I'm talking about is the end product.
Sure. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Now noting no further speakers, non-agenda public comments now closed. Consent calendar is not closed. Do I have a motion, a second on the floor? Okay. All right, vote.
The consent calendar was approved with Mayor Rodriguez abstaining from item number 3 and pulling item number 16 for separate discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco pulling item number 14 for separate discussion, and Councilmember Frometa excused.
So 14, Blanca, you want to discuss 14?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to commend staff for doing this. This would create an area where people can be dropped off when they're using Uber or Lyft. What I want to know is I want to see how it was decided that 2nd Street would be the appropriate street for the location of the drop-off for Uber or Lyft. I want to see how it was decided.
Oh, how it was decided?
As to 2nd Street being the drop-off or pickup location.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. In identifying the possible or the potential locations for these special parking zones, we did work with the police department, specifically Lieutenant Baker, in identifying areas where they were having these issues of double parking. And that's how we identified south side of 2nd Street as probably the best area to locate these special parking zones.
Because my concern is that we're still going to have the situation where people are going to still be dropped off in front of the different restaurants such as Joseph's or Lock and Key. Because what I've noticed is that on 2nd Street, sometimes there's spots available, but people still get dropped off right in front of on Downey Avenue. So I'm concerned that this actually won't solve the situation. That's my concern.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, in reviewing the circumstances, I would have to say, first of all, that I agree with you, that I don't think that we'll be able to create a space large enough to accommodate these vehicles that is going to restrict or stop all of the other drivers from parking where they see fit. As we see with regular parking ordinances, people tend to stop where it's convenient for them, even if there is a parking space available 100 feet ahead. So we're trying to not infringe too much on the available parking in the downtown area, but provide a safe location for these vehicles to drop off and pick up as well. But to answer your question, primarily, our role is to provide a location that's specific for these ride groups to establish a position to pick up and drop off that becomes a regular used area. But I would have to admit that I think we'd be foolish to think that it's not going to, we're still not going to suffer people stopping wherever they want to in the middle of the street to pick up or drop people off. We will continue to enforce those violations as they occur, as well as point out these locations. The good news is that when they're established, the drivers will be notified through their specific companies of the areas that are approved for them to park in town, and hopefully that will then begin them the process of queuing in those specific areas as opposed to stopping somewhere else. Hopefully they will then realize that there is a spot, immediately adjacent to where the majority of the pickup and drop-offs occur that would be available for them. But again, we'll enforce the parking violations as they occur. But we selected this location. We did confer with Uber and Lyft as well to get their input on where the majority of their rides are initiated from or where their pickups are initiated from. So that was also factored in to that location.
Thank you.
What kind of signages are going to be? I don't know, probably Public Works. I mean, is it going to be only on that spot, or is there also going to be a sign elsewhere on or around Downey Avenue?
Right now, what we anticipate is installing 2 signs, and this will be to identify the exact location of the zones, and the signage will say app-based rideshare parking only, 5-minute passenger loading unloading between 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., all others subject to citation, and it's the Downey Municipal Code Section 3197.1. So that will be the specific verbiage on those signs that will be installed at those locations.
It's a lot of verbiage for a sign.
Yeah.
It's currently loading. It's currently loading zone now.
So is this loading zone, isn't there one loading zone?
Yeah.
We had installed that a few years ago, I remember.
Yeah, the yellow curb is out there now.
Just the yellow curb.
Is that right?
No,
Just the yellow
isn't it
curb?
the ones in front of it?
I looked at the current signs that are out there. It's actually 2-hour parking.
But the yellow curb?
There's a yellow zone first.
So that would really be just for that loading and loading, but it's like a 2-hour parking zone too.
Oh, so we're putting this past the loading zone.
Yeah, I think the loading zone, correct me if I'm wrong, there's the loading zone and then there's 2 spots just east of it, correct?
Okay.
This is going in those 2 spots?
That's what we have anticipated installing these zones.
So how is it not going to be confusing for people to be able to park there during the day? I'm just concerned on the signage, because I don't want it to be a waste during the day. So, because this unless I'm reading it wrong, it's from 6 p.m. until like 2 a.m. or something like that?
6 p.m. to 2.
Oh yeah, that may have been that's a typo on this report. It should have been 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. beginning Thursdays to
right.
Sundays.
Yeah,
so it
that's
would
what I read.
only
It
be
says
between
that.
Thursday to
No,
Sunday.
it says that. But my question is, during the day, or other than those hours, that's a park, you can park there, right? Anybody can park there?
That's correct.
So how's the signage? I'm concerned about the signage. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. You got loading zone, you got 2-hour parking, and you got this convoluted sign that's a little bit difficult to read. It sounds like so.
What we can do is take a look at that area again and make sure that we install the correct signs and make sure that there is no confusion between conflicting signs between the different zones.
Okay.
I have another question regarding signage. Is there going to be like a particular sign that says maybe an arrow pointing towards parking, like Uber or Lyft drop-off pickup zone? I mean, I understand there's going to be signage on the street, but is there also going to be another signage directing the Uber and Lyft drivers?
Like on Downey Avenue?
Correct.
That's a lot of signs.
Delfino, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that with these rideshare programs is that once they're notified, they will know on their GPS where those particular zones are, so you wouldn't need to put those signs up. So they would automatically know that.
I think it gives you instructions too. When you order a Lyft or
Yes.
Uber, it'll say walk to this corner or
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
I don't think we need those signs that maybe you're saying about.
So, what's going to be the size of the geofence for this area where they would have to go to these spots during that time? So is it going to stretch to Porto's? Is it going to stretch to the movie theater? How I just
It's like 10, 12
curious.
feet. It's not very far.
Well, I mean, but like, so like, are we just going to make it for just for Downey Avenue, or are we going to encompass a bigger portion of the downtown area that's going to be required to go to that spot to pick up or drop off?
Right now, what we're proposing is just this particular area on the south side of 2nd Street. And as we go along, if there's a need to look at other areas.
I think so. Normally, the problem that we're having is that people are just dropping off right in front of the restaurants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so how big is the zone that we're trying to restrict people from dropping off at the restaurants? That's what I'm saying. I know where we want them to go, but I want to know how big is the fence that's the geofence that's gonna be around the area, telling them, okay, we can't drop you off in front of the restaurant, but we can drop you off at this spot. Because when you tell Uber, when you tell Lyft, you know, they have to have a certain area that you're going to punch in an address, and that address is either going to say, okay, we can drop you off right there, or because of rules that are established by the certain city that you're in, you have to go to this drop-off place. So how big is that geofence that's going to be, you know, here that's going to tell them where to go?
Councilmember, what we can do is, to answer your question, we don't know. So what we can do is we can get with those rideshare folks and create a distance if applicable. We can do, say, you know, I don't know, you go from Paramount to whatever. I mean, we'll establish some boundary lines. I hear what you're saying.
The goal is the restaurants on Downey Avenue, the places at night, because it's
Right.
nighttime stuff, right?
Which I get, but it wasn't in the thing.
No,
I
good
was
question.
No, I
curious
understand.
about that.
Yeah.
And then I did have one other thing that just slipped. So I'll if I remember it, I'll come back.
But I would still feel comfortable moving forward with this.
Yeah.
And then having staff. But one thing I would like to see, if maybe if we can have the PD or Public Works come back maybe in 6 months, see how it works, and maybe we can, if it works, maybe we can, you know, implement it also somewhere else, or not, or make adjustments.
I did remember what I had. So with have we consulted the downtown Downey district to see what their thoughts are on this?
The bid?
I don't know, Aldo, do you?
It's a Public Works thing.
Let me, before Aldo answers, let me just say what we're trying to do here. We started out with a compliment on it, and then it sort of devolved here. And there's a lot of good suggestions here. But ultimately, we've been working with a parking consultant, right, to try to really get things in order. This is one of the many things that we're trying. And so we're going to continue to try to get better at it. There are some things out of this discussion that we're going to go back and try to correct and try to make better. And I think it's a really good thing to sort of take a look at it. We'll try it for a while, see how it goes, and we'll come back with some results on that particular issue. And we'll make some adjustments as we move forward. It's going to be a learning process, and we're going to make some changes as we go along. So. Again, this is a multifaceted approach to try to get parking and traffic issues solved in the downtown, especially in the evenings. So we'll make those changes, and we'll come back to you at a later date and give you an update in terms of how it's going.
And I still think this is great. I think this is what we need in our downtown area. We need to establish a drop-off and pick-up for Uber and Lyft. So I'm comfortable with voting on this agenda item today, because I think it is something that is necessary for our downtown, especially since our downtown is continuously growing.
Yeah.
So did you want to make a?
We should do public comment.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Sorry.
Now, real public comment for this item. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Mr. Mayor, is this in regards to item 14?
Yes, sir.
Is this similar to item 16 that you pulled?
No.
14.
So we're making reference to ordinance number 19, parking zones. And you heard the discussion that, the signage, the verbiage of the signage is very difficult for a wetback like me to read and understand, or a person who's elderly and disabled to understand. So we come back to our car, we're cited for parking for 5 minutes and a half. But, see, you forgot to discuss about this Municipal Code 3197.1, Miss Garcia, for the record, was that city planning wasn't involved for this Uber adventure. Why? Why was the police department involved over planning? The chief of police has many other important responsibilities to deal with parking issues. His job is to look for crime, cite criminals, and defend the public's interest in Downey. That's his important role, and that's why he should be given $25,000 as of tonight as a stipend raise due to his constant effort to protect the public's interest in Downey. But let me go back now to the reason why you're going to charge a $500 special parking for Uber. Because it sounds like an Aldo scheme of gouging and sucking up to some program that really doesn't matter to the majority of us. Most of us use public transportation. We use bike paths. We use Downey transportation, call a ride, dial a ride. So why do we need for another congestion of problems with Uber or Lyft? Parking in an area that you designed for them when they can park wherever the hell they want. There's no law that prohibits them from parking and dropping people simply just as a zoning. I do it all the time. I unload my groceries at the sidewalk, then I walk back, get in my car, and I park it on the other side of the street where I don't have to pay for parking, and I come back. So the problem is Americans are just getting fat and lazy. Fat and lazy. No offense to anyone here who's gained weight from the last time I met you.
None taken, but thank you for bringing that up for everybody. Go ahead.
See, the city planning issue here is to commit to making Downey safe.
Agreed.
And Uber and Lyft are not safe products of our community or anyone's community, especially because when I'm downtown on my commute, they'll cut in front of you at the curb and drop off their patrons right there on the spot because they have to get their patrons right to the doors of the federal building. And so the problem here is that you came up with this plan, Mr. Livas, without consent of the public to weigh in whether our opinions are important about Uber and Lyft, whether they're important or not for you to post a stupid sign in addition to all the signs we have that create a public problem. I got to thank you, though, because when you corrected the parking issue of restrictions for oversized vehicles across the street from the Krikorian theaters, that was welcome. Because even I didn't understand those signs by permit at a certain time when there's no one fucking parking there. And there's all this room. And now you did a public service. You corrected it and you took away those illegal signs, and now people can park at a first come served basis within the 2-hour maximum capacity of time period. But at this point, I'm asking the city manager to pull back this item, table this item, and weigh in with the Patriot newspaper to call in all its public interest people in the community to weigh in on their opinion whether or not this one particular area is safe or good for the public. Because every time on Firestone when Uber and Lyft drop off in front of portals, that's ridiculous. And your police are out there doing something else instead of giving a ticket to somebody who's in the major corridor, stopping traffic, creating a public safety concern, because there can be a timely wasted incident of a traffic condition that will escalate to traffic all the way backed up to the 605 freeway, and that must stop. So take into consideration my opinion and my point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Herman, and I'll be speaking to the chief about that raise. Anybody else?
Move to close public comment.
Stipend.
Can I get a second?
Move to approve. And as I mentioned earlier, I think we should just make sure.
I agree.
we look at
That's a
it
good
and,
idea. Come back 6 months. and
Come
take-
back, 4 to 6
Check
months.
it out. That's right. Okay, please vote.
Is there a second?
Did we get a second?
Did we get a second, Sean? Yeah, that's what I thought. I read Sean's mind.
The motion to introduce the ordinance was approved with Councilmember Frometa excused.
So now I pulled item 16 because I just wanted to discuss the idea of the general plan progress report. I mentioned earlier that our downtown area is changing so fast. We're 10 years ago we didn't have Uber. So the technology has changed so fast. I just want to make sure that we are looking at every opportunity to serve our business community better and more efficiently. So I wanted before we just receive and file the general plan, I wanted to maybe have a discussion with Aldo and my colleagues here about this idea of going forward. What does the general plan look like? How old is it? How much shelf life does it have? What is it? What are the considerations for going forward? We have new restaurants, new nightlife coming in. It's becoming more of a lively location. It's a destination location. I want to make sure we're serving our community best by making sure that plan suits them as well as our residents. So, Aldo, if you can help me understand.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. The general plan report focuses on the overlying land uses for the entire city. The general plan is what floats at about 30,000 feet and addresses all the various land uses in the city. In regards to our downtown, we have a downtown specific plan that was established in 2010, and we're just now being able to exercise the different features of the specific plan. And the major reason is the economic upswing. When you have an economic upswing, you've got the ability to exercise your tools at your disposal to see how development is then facilitated through those different specific plans. The general plan also is probably in the, I'd say 70 percentile of its life. It was established in 2005 with the shelf life exceeding or meeting 2025. And so a lot of those components of the general plan are still fresh and are still being exercised once again as we start to build through an economic upswing. We also have our zoning code that was established in 2008. So once again, still within its prime based on the different economic factors that we've experienced in our region and in Downey. So the true measure in terms of land use regulation is with our downtown as our downtown specific plan. And so as I mentioned, it's now being exercised through this current economic upswing. And so we've been able to see its strengths and some of its soft spots in terms of the different housing that's been built in the downtown and the different and the different retail projects that have been built and that are coming aboard. Our development community is becoming aware of it as well in terms as they cut their teeth on it and or come back for different projects. But besides all that, staff is continuing to keep its eyes open in terms of different incentives offered at all levels through the private sector, the state, and the feds in terms of trying to find things to facilitate growth within our downtown and citywide. Right now, the big push at the state level is housing, and so we're a little cautious in terms of how we proceed with that. But our downtown was cutting edge in regards to the housing component and provides for densities within that downtown. The goal is to keep those densities in the downtown and not spread them into our neighborhoods citywide. So once again, as those opportunities come up, we're going to continue to pursue them.
So would it be fair to, Mr. City Manager, would it be fair to, before we receive and file the general plan, maybe take a look at maybe if there's got to be some funds out there, some grants out there to take a look at how we can keep that downtown specific plan on cutting edge, so we know exactly, like I said, it's thriving. It's only going to get bigger and better. So, and I don't think 10 years ago we thought it would be as good as it is today. So, what do you think?
So are you suggesting looking into potentially update it?
I think so. I think we should at least take a look at it. We should take a look at it because maybe there are certain things that we haven't, maybe certain things we didn't think about 10 years ago that are now a consideration now. What's that?
Like Uber and that?
Exactly. That's what kind of brought it to my mind. When I heard Blanca say that, okay, the idea of her concern about this Uber thing, I said, okay, I share that concern as well as this as well.
There's actually been some discussion between myself and Aldo about looking at our specific plan. We did actually, when I started here, one of the things that we did initially was do the specific plan. The specific plan basically is an overlay zone over the general plan here. And one of the things that we need to do is sort of monitor it and look back and take a look back at it and see how we can improve it and make sure that it's living up to the things that we wanted to live up to. So we can certainly take a look at that and come back to you guys with some potential tweaks and suggestions how to improve it and make it better, Aldo.
Yes, and thanks for that, City Manager, but I also wanted to be clear, that's a different action than the general plan tonight.
Yes, I think they understand that. So so we will go ahead and bring that look back to you at a future council meeting. We'll look at how we can improve that, and we'll bring that back to you.
So we want to, at 16, we'll pull it for now, and then you bring it back to us, or
I'm sorry?
now?
Well, this is no. 16 is a separate issue. So, my suggestion or recommendation is that you go ahead and vote on this particular item. The specific plan is a separate issue. We'll bring that back to you at a future date.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Guess what? We have public comment. Those wishing to speak in public comment, please. Of course.
Hey, look at this. Isn't that great?
Absolutely, Mr. Herman.
Absolutely. Who controls the floor? All right, Matt Dow, MATTDOWD, for the record regarding Gateway's specific plan, abuse of state and federal dollars, Mr. Aldo. Thank you. The general land use plan, recommendations. Well, let's talk about the safety element. What's a safety element when it comes to permits for compliance? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
When it comes to California Code of Regulations, Title 24. Well, if you got $5 million on capital improvement and it's for rehabilitation and you spend or have a dollar amount of $1.5 million for city arterial collectors on local streets, put that in plain English. Well, it's a plan to fix the infrastructure of our deploring streets that you constantly drive over potholes, rivets, crevices, and as we have off of Firestone by portals between Paramount down here to Downey, that big line that's separating the curb to the street. That's a danger to the public. Where's your permit process for that in your regulations of land use plan? I got a plan. If I was Aldo, I go buy me a house in Sacramento with all the lobbying money I have, but that's not the subject here. The subject I'm talking about is why this specific plan is rendered under federal and state dollars, Mr. Saab. Because we know that allocations of federal and state dollars are for a specific responsibility and accountability and to accountability of how we spend dollars and cents. But because we built, as you heard in the topic of conversation, we built like the KB homes off of Paramount going at a affordable price of $700,000. And then they dropped their prices because people couldn't afford it. Now the fees are $400,000 and under. That's something of concern because we use a surplus of land that could have been used for our veterans to build housing. We could have used it to build housing for our HHH crisis. Instead, we fell into the trap of Aldo in community development with our czar, Mr. Eric Garcetti, and we created a gap, a big gap. Do you people not understand the gap? I don't have to put it very frank. As Matt Dowd would say, that's fucked up. And I found that a conclusive argument that the public needs to weigh in on. Because if our children plan to live in Downey, and can't afford a $600,000 home, let alone have to work 3 jobs to buy a $400,000 home, and weigh in with grandpa's contribution of $45,000 as a retainer to purchase property, it might work. But not all of us have a mayor who's a grandpa, who has a business, who does business in his community, and I find something wishy-washy about that in prayer, Mr. Rodriguez. I pray that you can see me when I'm praying, because I like to pray. I like to pray for the good of all people. And as Socrates and Plato law says, I'll be damned to render my soul to the political corruption of what political corruption is. A Satan of liars. Am I right, Ms. Pacheco?
Talking to me, Mr. Herman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Ms. Pacheco was...
We look alike too, I get it.
Was the acting
No, not
mayor.
yet. Not yet.
It says mayor.
Mayor Pro
So
Tem.
I'm not confused. See, people, you can come in here and not be confused. It says Mayor Pro. I'm addressing my concerns to the mayor.
That's right, this guy.
Who represents the 1st District.
The 3rd district.
So, again, California Code of Regulations, follow them, Aldo. And you need to surrender your duties if you continue to sell out our communities under gateway cities and any other corruption you're involved with.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. God bless you. Anybody else?
Move to approve the item.
Get a second? Please vote.
The motion was approved with Councilmember Frometa excused.
Okay, administrative report. There's one administrative report tonight. City manager, who was that?
Mr. Mayor, I think we're doing a presentation by Stay Gallery folks tonight. If we can have them come forward.
Welcome, and please try to keep it clean.
We were pretty good at that.
Yeah, I noticed.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and staff, we have a few members of our board and an old face that's a new face. We are excited to have announced earlier this year, but in person, to have our executive director, who is also one of the founders of Stay Gallery and Downey Art Vibe, Gabe Enamorado, who took the helm earlier this year in mid-February. And we're here today to briefly share a little bit about the activities and programming of which we've done in the last 12 months and where we're going in the next 12 months. We will keep that short, and Gabe's going to curtail a lot of his excitement and content because you're going to have a lot more opportunities in the future months to come to that. But I'll turn it over to Gabe, and I'd like to introduce a couple of other board members. I'm Kirk Kartosian. We have George Manzanilla, and we have Luz Yuncor. Valentin Flores, I think, had a date tonight, and he left about 15 minutes ago. So I'll turn it over to Gabe right now.
Hello, City Council and staff. My name is Gabriel Enamorado, and I am the new Executive Director of Stay Gallery. It feels good to be back home. Since my return on February 15th, a lot has changed. The first project I took on was to completely revamp the website. If you have not seen it, I strongly urge you to do so. Most importantly,
What's the web address?
Say that again?
What's the web address?
Staygallery.org. Most importantly, we redefined the 3 programs that drive our mission forward. At the heart of our organization, the Stay Young program is a partnership with educators from Downey Unified. Students are encouraged to participate in group art exhibitions, classroom field trips to stay, and workshops geared towards inspiring their creativity. Since my return, we have displayed the artwork of hundreds of students ranging from elementary to high school through 4 consecutive exhibitions. Staying connected to our roots, This was the first exhibit that we hosted. It featured mosaic artwork made on pizza boxes donated by Peanut Pizza. Over 60 students from Maude Price and Old River Elementary participated. This was a photo from the opening reception. Heroes Around Me was the theme for the PTA Reflections exhibit and featured over 100 artworks from students of all grade levels. The middle school group show featured photography, animation, paintings, and drawings from over 120 students. This was a great partnership with all of the middle school's art departments. And the digital project featured photography from Downey High students in Photography 1 and 2, photojournalism, digital imaging, and over 200 students participated in this exhibit. This was a photo from the balcony of the gallery with the images on the walls. The following Monday, after the opening reception, we held field trips from Ms. Napoli and Ms. Cordova's photography classes, visiting us all day. In total, we had about 600 students come through. We also have introduced a monthly workshop called Kids Create Family Paint Day. Tickets include a guided workshop by Griffiths Middle School art teacher Ed Plant, 2 seats, 2 canvases, paint supplies, snacks, and refreshments. There's also an option to purchase an extra sheet for a parent or a child. So if you guys have kids, please bring them by the gallery. These are, say that again. This is every third Saturday of the month, Saturday morning, and it coincides with the farmers market. This was just last weekend. The kids got to paint Pikachu. It was pretty cool. Our second program, Stay Public. Oh, sorry about that. I skipped the slide. So we also introduced the Stay Young Summer Art Camp. This is a 5-week workshop led by Mr. Plant to learn about art making and inspire creativity. We're looking forward to this program. We so far have about 15 students signed up, and when they come to the gallery, they're going to get a bag full of art supplies, t-shirts, and they're going to come every week, so that should be really fun for them. And we are already planning exhibits and events for the next Stay Young season, which runs from March to May annually. We're also forming a Stay Young committee with educators from Downey Unified. This could evolve into an arts festival or workshops that benefit our local students. Our second program, Stay Public, helps to stimulate creative innovation. We provide our space and marketing support to concepts that have been submitted by community members who have an amazing idea for an event or workshop, but lack the space. We created a rigorous process on our website that allows us to vet concepts that are submitted to us. For most of the partnerships that we create, we forego the rental fee and instead split the profits from the events. The goal is to create a consistent stream of revenue for Stay through a wide variety of events and workshops that are operated and managed by community members. Recently, we held our first Stay Public program, which was called Stay Up. It was one of the most inspiring events I have seen take place at Stay. The performances were amazing, the turnout was great, and the audience had an amazing time. The best feature of this event was that the onstage interviews of artists. They were asked questions by a host about what inspires them, and the audience had the opportunity to ask questions as well. This will be a monthly event, and the next one is scheduled for Saturday, June 29th. We are currently working with several submissions to solidify dates and contract details. Our space has served as a local incubator for several Downey businesses. One of the ones being established currently is Downey Yoga, which got its start as a workshop at Stay. We're going to continue to develop this concept in becoming a local business incubator through the Stay Public program. So upcoming, we have an event called Body Camp at Stay, led by a workout instructor, an intro to painting by a professor at Cerritos, a creative writing workshop, which we're really excited about, and a wellness program as well. The submissions that we accept through our website, like I said, they go through a rigorous process. And one of the quotes from the woman who is doing the creative writing workshop wrote, "A writing workshop unlike writing workshops. Rather than focusing on writing strategies and activities to help hone in on a skill with poetic writing, this workshop will use poetry and poetic writing as a tool for self-exploration and healing." So we're really looking for concepts that, delve deeper into the arts and creativity. The last and final program, Stay Gallery. The Stay Gallery program supports and celebrates up-and-coming artists through month-long exhibitions. The artists we represent strongly believe that creativity can enhance the livelihood of our community. Recently, we held an exhibit by a community member named John Bell. He is a veteran who was homeless, struggled from drug use, and found his healing through his art. I had met him one afternoon as he walked by the gallery. His story inspired me, and I offered him an exhibit. This gave him a deep sense of purpose, and we had a fantastic show at Stay. Every piece he created was very detailed, and he wrote an excerpt for each artwork that was displayed underneath, which gave onlookers a more in-depth perspective on why he created his works. This is one of the pieces the excerpt underneath read. Thanks, Chairman. During a 3-month hospitalization at the Veterans Administration, I admired the decaying over painted pipes. I was under the pressure to find a healthy way to cope with all of the challenges in my life. My life was on a quick and steady decline. I found relief from these pressures by painting these interesting pipes. John Bell. To reintroduce Stay as a champion for the arts in the region, we held a call to artists and received over 75 submissions. We will be holding a group exhibit next Friday featuring the works of 35 of them. It is a diverse group ranging from all backgrounds, age groups, and ethnicities. Consider this the official invitation to all of you guys. I would love to see you guys all there. And to wrap up Stay Gallery, I am proud to say that we have also filled up our exhibition calendar for 2019, featuring a mixture of solo, duo, and group exhibitions. We also left several slots for week-long pop-up exhibitions like John Bell's. And finally, our memberships. We have restructured a membership program to be on a pay-what-you-can basis, anywhere from $5, $20, or more a month. They are fully tax-deductible. You can visit our website to become a donating member. We are still working on the rollout plan to get this off the ground. This covers all of the recent changes made at Stay. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen. Since its inception, Stay has been a passion project for everyone that has contributed to its growth. I look forward to continuing to establish Stay as a regional hub that supports and nurtures creativity for our youth, our artists, and the people from all walks of life. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah,
please.
Some comments.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex, you first.
There's a lot of great things, and I know about them, and I'm sure we know about them. But how do we, or what can you guys do, or maybe how can we help in communicating this to the community? Because I think sometimes there's a misconception that the city doesn't support the arts, that we haven't been doing anything, and the fact of the matter is, how much are we in City Gallery from day one?
For rent and operating, since the inception of our agreements with them, is $273,000, and I'd say roughly another $40,000 in terms of miscellaneous work that's been done with them.
So $310,000. So we're in the $310,000 as a city.
For 7 years.
Right, over 7 years. So I mean, that's quite substantial. So how do we communicate that? I mean, I know it's hard. It's difficult, and I think that's always been a challenge, not just for you guys, for most organizations. But how can we help you to communicate all these incredible things? Because I know, I know my office is close to downtown. I know the things are going on, but there's got to be a better way to communicate this. And now that you are starting, I think you have a great opportunity to formulate a plan and to use us, because we're putting our money where our mouth is as a city, but residents need to know what's going on, because as residents participate, it's just going to bring more growth to you guys to Stay and we and the community as a whole. And it's just so what are your plans?
Well, we can start working together more.
So let me help you, Gabe, with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we back in 2016, we asked for quarterly reports on your progress. I don't see anything, but I want to tell you that when I saw what you just talked about, that veteran, it touched my heart, because that's the true entrepreneur spirit. You don't know where it comes from, where it lands, but you see opportunity, you ran with it.
Absolutely.
And so this is why, to Alex's point, we're your best salespeople right here. We want to sell you and sell your project and sell exactly what you're doing, because you are doing a good thing. And the fact that you were the guy that's back here, you're a very creative and talented young man. So we want to help. We want to tell that story. And I always say this, Downey do a lot of good things. But one thing we don't do a very good job is telling our story. This is a good thing to tell our story about.
I agree.
So maybe going forward in the future, like tonight, I know we had a lot of presentations, and I know that some people get a little irritated by the presentation, but you know what? It tells our story. It tells our story. We are a good city. We're a good city, does good things for good people. So maybe that's one of the ways that we could celebrate that more often with you guys. And maybe, if not here, maybe it's your place, But I think that's one way. And to Alex's point, I agree with him, and I want us to get more involved. I want us to be able to, have those maybe sit down coffee meetings over quarterly and say, okay, maybe we might know a guy. And so we may know somebody that can help you, or you may have an idea that we can help you with. So,
and please feel free to use Stay whenever you guys would like.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is specifically though, I think we just can't rely on, spread the word, right? You need to have a plan. If not, it's just you're planning to fail. So I think you guys need to, if you haven't already, if you have, share it. Have a plan. How are you guys going to up the game on communicating to the public? I know it's a challenge, right? It's like everybody gets elected and say, I want to be, more transparent, and we are. We try to be as transparent as we can. We are, in my opinion. But the message is hard to get out. Right? There's 110,000 residents, and we always want to say, we want to communicate the channel of the communication is open to the public, but it's not that easy, right? Nowadays with social media, sure, it's easier, but how are you guys going to be able to overcome that?
I think one idea that just came to mind is kind of using the banner program that we have in city infrastructure.
That's a good idea.
Because we go and you see LACMA signs on banners and street poles all the time. Well, we could do the same thing with the arts. It doesn't have to be
it's a great idea.
Specific to Stay Gallery all the time, but maybe we set aside a certain section, certain times of the year that you promote the arts using the banner program. Street poles, things like that. That's one idea. Also, through the city Instagram, I think a little bit more.
I think we need to work closer together.
Yeah, a little bit closer together to promote those events. I'm a newcomer to the Stay board, and I'm really excited about the future of this gallery. I mean, I've been an early supporter of what Gabe and Val have done since the late 2009 or something around that time, and I think a lot can be done, and I'm really excited about what he's bringing to it. So, but yeah, in terms of help, getting the city some ideas to promote the arts and stuff, I think just using, we're surrounded by these things, whether it's our public infrastructure or any other types of infrastructure that we can use to kind of promote the arts would be great.
And let's not forget our seniors, right? A lot of these things,
yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, look at our mayor, right? So let's not forget our seniors and getting projects, and our seniors involved, I think, as well. The thing is, I think that, when is the funding up? Next year?
Yes, it is May 31st, 2020.
Yeah, so I think that, we all know the line. Some of us weren't here. If from somebody that said, if we don't sustain ourselves, if we can't sustain ourselves in 8 years, shame on us, or something like that. Val said it, right? But I think we have now an opportunity. We have basically a year to be able to prove to us that it warrants the support. See, you guys have the stuff is there. But it's that communication. I mean, we have the same issue in our city with our stuff in the city as well. But I think that at a bigger scale, because there's more events and there's more things going on all the time. But I think that if you guys are able to communicate all these great things next year, but throughout this whole year, I mean, obviously, next year we'll revisit that issue with the contract. But I think that's the biggest challenge, personally.
Alex?
We heard a speaker earlier say, talking about the arts in the city, but I don't know, $300,000 is quite a bit of money we put into it. So I disagree. I think we have been doing a lot of things for the arts. We just have to tell the story better.
We agree, and we think the city's been really good, but we could engage city leaders in the community even better. One area that we've probably over the last 10 or 12 months really discussed is trying to put together a more polished version of a fundraising campaign. We haven't been very good about that in the past, and we don't want to be completely reliant on the city. And our plan is, maybe not to the same degree, but the YMCA does a great job with their annual fundraising campaign. So if we could draw in some community leaders like yourselves to maybe be voices for us, it'll connect that story of what we're doing even more, because it's there, but to the mayor's point, a lot of it is untapped. It's what can we do for you. So we need to find new ways of engaging you. And I'm not saying just in requests for money. I know you guys would probably naturally do that anyway. The other is, and this
Some
is
of us
something
would. Some of us would.
that helps, right? But the other is we're very serious in this next year about engaging the Downey Unified School District to be an equal partner. And there has been interest at the highest levels, both administratively and from members of the Board of Trustees, that they know that request, as long as we feel like we could stand behind it, is there for them to be an equal partner with the City of Downey. We believe that it's either both or none, and that's where we want to indicate to you where we'll be going and where we plan to be preceding the budget sessions of next year for the 2020-21 fiscal years. So,
And I would also tell you that I'll be more than happy to, I did this lunch with the mayor with the business community. I took our 5 largest employers in our city and introduced them to Cerritos College and kind of help with internship and a pathway to education. They can help a guy get free junior college money. So to that point, Downey Nissan was yesterday, was at the Veterans Memorial Day event on 2nd Street with Bastards. So Downey Nissan had a booth there. They said that for every car they sell today, a percentage would be going towards Bastards, their Save the Brave Foundation, and Courage Forward. Within the hours that they were open for the memorial service, they sold over 51 cars out of Downey alone. So I don't know how many thousands, I really how many thousands of dollars, but I knew it was substantial. But that came from a corporate sponsor for a nonprofit. So to your point, Greg, that's exactly how to do it. Introduce you to these people and say, look, and you guys are, like Alex said, you guys have all the right stuff. We just need to put it out there in front of people. And I'm sure our business committee would love to engage you guys, especially get kids involved. And with our seniors, Pam will tell you at BJR, we've got a packed house of seniors all the time with the programs. And so I'm sure they'll have other things to do as well. So yes, we can do this. I think we can do this. So,
what is regarding working with other groups or use of the space? How's that been coming along?
Really good. So we completely revamped our rentals program as well, and we've been allowing now other local nonprofits to use the space at a reduced rate. We are aiming to create some revenue for the gallery through rentals, and so that's been really helpful. And just to answer to what you were saying earlier, I think that we all in this room acknowledge that Stay is a very unique kind of situation and space, and I think we really have a great opportunity at redefining what a gallery could be for a community. Like I was mentioning earlier, we had the Stay Public program that is allowing people to come and use the space to test out their ideas for businesses. And I think that just that part alone really stretches beyond what a gallery could be. And I think calling it a gallery is kind of where you won't see the word gallery on there anymore, because I think that Stay is much more than just that. So,
good.
To help spread the word of what we're doing, mainly going to depend on building excitement for the events that we have. We are doing a lot more local artist group shows that feature over 30 artists, and so that's spreading the word. And I think to what Kirk was saying is coordinating with the city more. We have been working with Augustine, I believe his name is? Augustine, in working with social media and sharing all of that stuff. And we do have a pretty strong plan of how we're going to market every event going forward. I've been here for only 3 months so far, and to be able to have, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but to have built all the programs like that and to really establish what is currently there on the website. I mean, it's all on the website. It's kind of just the beginning of what we're seeing, and so we really plan on stretching out those partnerships.
And I think also you might want to don't discount the idea of collaboration with other nonprofits.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of nonprofits in our city, and Measure H, when they reached out to nonprofits, they said, hey, we can't give it to one, collaborate with several.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that might be a good market for you as well.
Yeah, we've been working with the tree planting organization. We've been working with DAC. I've been just kind of brewing some conversations with them and seeing how they can come and use the space. And so those conversations are slowly starting to develop.
I have an idea, after this is over, if we can talk about, I have an idea for veterans and Courage Forward actually just approached me on it, so I think it would be ideal for you guys. So.
We could even do like a speaker series or something.
Yeah.
So I also want to just reiterate, I think communication is important. So if there's a way that you can send maybe all of us an email as to any upcoming events.
Yep.
And I also want to echo what Alex and Rick were saying, getting more involved in, other organizations. Maybe even with Rancho Hospital, having a sit down with one of them over there, just because I know there's art shows from Rancho that can maybe be showcased over at.
And we used to do those when we first opened as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I do plan on reestablishing that as well.
So I'll help you with that connection.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Take it all.
Yeah, so not much. I mean, a lot of what my colleagues have already said. I'd like to echo. I appreciate the new vigor that's being imposed on to stay. The one thing I was kind of waiting to hear, and I'm glad that I heard it from you versus us having to ask, was dealing with the school district, because I feel you do a lot for the school district, which is great, but the fact that they're kind of getting a benefit without a cost in a sense, it was a little bit of it's a little discouraging, but I appreciate the fact that you're looking into different avenues to make sure that the funding that you need to keep going is, you're working on that. So that's something that I really appreciate. So thank you for that. And I look forward to going to many more events.
Very good.
And can we just make sure that we give a little love to the city of Downey and some of the literature and things like that? Sometimes we don't see it. And, I mean, the city is paying the majority of the rent there, so it'd be nice to get a little credit for the city, not for not an individual, for the city.
Yeah, of course. Or individuals.
Yeah.
We'd also like to mention one of our other board members. He's actually a teacher at Griffiths Middle School. He couldn't be here, but Ed Plant, who was mentioned, was very involved as a board member and a teacher with the Stay Young initiative this year, and was a perfect, I think, start to you hitting the ground running in February and all throughout spring.
Any plans for any live theater work? Like, we've talked about it at the theater, like a small black box theater kind of. That's kind of a good space for it. Maybe it's small.
I mean, so far nothing like that has been submitted. I think the way that we're approaching it, or rather the way that we are approaching it, is allowing people to feel free to submit those ideas to us.
So how do you make it known? How do you, instead of waiting for people,
We'll put it this way, we have about 40 submissions right now for people who want to run workshops.
Okay, good.
This is a Call to Artists campaign.
This was from the Call to Artists, but also just organically through people seeing the Stay Public program on our website and what it does. And basically it states clearly that, this is a platform for you to submit your idea to us, and based on merit and just kind of how good the workshop concept is.
Is there a link on the city website to their website, Alicia? Do you know? We should. I mean, like I said, we're already on. So
Someday.
Put us on the front page.
Well, we should have a link. There's a social.
We're going to be revamping that.
There's a part that says community, and we absolutely should put it on there.
No, but when the new version of it comes out, I think it'd be good to highlight that on one of the.
Yeah, and I think we can work also with our Parks and Rec department also. I mean, it's endless, right?
And I think Stay should become like a part of Parks and Rec in a sense.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job. I forgot to address my good friend Gilbert here. Thank you guys all. Aldo, appreciate your efforts with us as well. You've been tough on us, but fair. And thank you for your time.
Aldo's on fire tonight.
That's it. He can be tough when he has to be.
He's in the hot box.
Okay, I'll now open this item for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Let me weigh in. The heavyweights versus the lightweights. But as you heard Stay say, that their art should be dedicated to El Rancho rehab. Their art should be given as a gift to El Rancho, at least one a year. Because as Alex Saab said, he's paying for it. No. We, the public, are paying for it. And as the mayor pointed out, you know, those 7 years, we got to show some activity. And I'm not against stay. I want stay to stay, but stay has to prove to me as well that these programs and activities just don't only render to children as a solution, but to the elderly and the disabled. Every time I went to that program, I felt uncomfortable going in. I didn't fit in. So if I didn't fit in, how many of those who cannot participate not fit in? That's why we have to develop an activity that encompasses all. The elderly, our veterans, our disabled population, and then our children. Children should always be last in our programs because children have to learn what our First Amendment of business is all about first, so that they themselves can engage in the state program as poets, as new artists, new thinkers. Maybe an idea that Herman philosophy teaches in Downey meetings. But I'm not going to re-circumvent for stay. You know, all I want stays to do is wake up Mr. Livas to help them find some funding. You know, if the mayor can put me in the Downey Patriot paper more than once, I believe stay should be put in the front page of the Downey paper just as much as I am. A gadfly, a critic, or what do you call it? Oh, the guy rants a lot. Well, I'm ranting because I want to see the program and activities work. And if you can only give this stay group $210,000 for their activities, I think you should stipend that with a 35% kick-in of public money. Because we gave $20,000 to a mosaic project on item 10 of earlier old business to the Lindsay, Yost, and Preferred Impressions Incorporation, but we already have a homegrown stay program. Why couldn't we solicit to them? They would have gave it as a donation, and then in return, we would have gave them a $50,000 donation as well to keep their program going. See, to get, to give you get. It's a trade. Not like Mr. Aldo's lobbying, but it's a trade. And the city manager knows exactly what I talk about in a trade. I'm not saying that we're going to money laundry for any nonprofit. I'm not saying we're going to allocate monies to a nonprofit. No. Stay has worked their ass off to say to you that we want to keep functioning in the interest of the public. But we're asking for you for more suggestions and help. We got a teacher, Mr. Ashton, on Board of Council. We got a federal attorney at one time. Worked as an attorney for ADA, so I heard. But work together, collaborate your ideas. Look at what the mayor said, and I have to give him an applaud for that. I have an idea. Let me get you guys to engage with the veterans or with bastards to implement this idea. I'm not going to blow it for the mayor because this is his idea.
Thank you.
So, see, when we work together, we criticize each other with ideas, and we opinionate on different perspectives of how we're looking at this, it's a win-win-win situation. So I'm here in favor to stay awake and stay in our community, but with the effort of that donation.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you for staying around this evening.
Move to receive and file.
Can I get a
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Step there, Mr. Christensen. Step right up. You got your own private fan club there, sir.
this is another item I didn't plan to speak about, but
Here we are.
yes,
See how much fun we
I
have
know
here?
it's late, and we all want to get out of here, and I'm very sympathetic to that. And I'll
Yes,
make
sir.
this is something that we should continue in the future.
Yes.
I have admired the founders of Stay for the beginning. I've met Val and actually wrote about them, and I think that space is never going to work, unfortunately. It's too small. You drive, if you're not looking at it, that window, that door, that entrance, when you drive by, up Downey Avenue, you won't see it. I'm trying to find a constructive solution because it's always been too small. You can't get name artists to show there. It's not a gallery. We're not talking about an art gallery now. We're talking about some kind of community center, which can never be a theater because there's no stage, the acoustics are rotten, and there's no seating, permanent seating, unless you had maybe some small environmental piece. The only thing I can think of is how can you find a bigger space? Because you can do more things. Art, in essence, is not about education. It's not about therapy. Art is art, and it explores boundaries. It does all the things that art is supposed to do as a presence. And in some degrees, it's indefinable why it's difficult for a body of people like yourself to make decisions, because you have to make definite, pragmatic decisions. But unfortunately, and this is probably not the time to say it, but I think you're putting good money after bad. And if you can find some space that's opening up, which you can publicize. And the reason that, let me double back just a second, the reason that artists won't show is because the space is too small and you can't get an audience in there. Artists won't show in a gallery where their art can't sell for less than $5,000, $7,000 in there. Stay can never mount a show that's going to charge that amount of money. So it's made these commendable, enviable, brave, and persistent efforts to make things work. But I feel that space is prohibitively small. Now, where else can you go? Maybe something at the promenade, maybe something in connection with the VA space, the former space that's opening up on Imperial across from Los Amigos. You have to have room for performance, room for show, room for a big piece of art to dominate. I mean, when they showed, it's great that they showed the kids, but all those paintings and photos lined up row after row. None of them command the eye, none of them command your attention, and none of them you can have a relationship with, which is what you do with a piece of art. So this is by no means a criticism of the founders and the people who maintain Stay, but I think we have to rethink the location. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Move to
Receive the file. Receive the file. Please vote. Please vote.
The motion was approved with Councilmember from Midnight.
City manager, you have any parting thoughts before we leave here at midnight? We'll leave here at midnight before. Okay. So, I just will tell you that to say something real quick. I know that we do our best to best job we can as elected. I know sometimes we get a little the vulgarity or the simplicity of common the audience. But I will tell you tonight when Gabe mentioned that idea, he met a random guy that told that story. It really touched my heart only because of the fact that I'm not an artist. I couldn't draw a cat. I do know veterans that are suicidal. I do know when over the years of being a law enforcement, I brought them to a point where they can take a pen to a paper, crayon to a color brush to a canvas, open a lot mentally and spiritually. So if that's the state gallery I'm going to need, then I'm going to help. And if that's the case, where it's a little children age way up. I mentioned earlier tonight about foster kids. That's where our foster kids can find a place to live and have love and happiness during the summer, a couple hours during the summer. I'm going to help them. But I think that, we've shown that we agree, those council, we want to give them a few bucks and help them. So now, we need to help them tell their story, and market them, and sell them, and help them be successful. And I think that's the kind of city we are. Thank you guys for coming out and doing your thing. And I think that's what we need to do more of. I think we need to do more. I think we need to err on the positive and not the negative. I think that's the city we are. So, is there? Mr. Herman, we need to change this from city council to Herman show, because it'll bark in and their vulgarity gets. Anyway, okay. So if we can, you have anything else?
Mr. Mayor, no, I don't know. Are you dragging me to this meeting?
All right. You want to go home? No, I do want to go. Okay, so this meeting is adjourned in the memory of Savannah Police Sergeant Kevin Ansari, age 50, Pam Albers, our city council colleague, member of the city of Avalon. So please join me in a moment of silence. Be adjourned. Let's go.